Hey, what's up, people? Welcome back to another episode of the Entrepreneurship Sucks podcast. Our guest today is the host of the Beyond the Hustle podcast. And from 2015 to 2017, he was an online fitness coach and he earned his 2 Comma Club award. And he successfully exited that business. And since 2018, he's been scaling a business coaching company that is now at over 8 figures in revenue. Mr. Dustin Lash, welcome to the show. How you doing today, man?
I'm well, man. I'm glad to be here. Appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah, man. Glad to have you. Um, we just did our interview on Dustin's podcast. We'll throw the link to that so you guys can go check it out and follow his podcast as well. Dustin, we kick things off the same way with everybody, man. Um, Entrepreneurship sucks. What does that mean to you?
Uh, I feel like, especially in today's world, entrepreneurship is such a over glorified hustle culture. People really don't understand it until you get into it, right? And there's pros and cons of entrepreneurship, but at the end of the day, like entrepreneurship does suck, man. It really does. I resonate with the name of the podcast just because there's so much meaning behind it. But yeah, they're just like anything. There's pros and cons to it, man. But at the end of the day, like I would much rather be um, doing this on my own than doing it for someone else, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, man.
Toughest decision we've ever made, but best decision we've ever made, and we're parents. So
Right. For
um
sure.
Love it. Well, take us back to the beginning, man. We got some time together. We wanna, dig deep into some stuff that maybe you haven't talked about before. Every guest that we bring on, we like to start at the beginning, like where you got the entrepreneurial bug. We've had Brian Delaney on. He's like, I was selling Jolly Ranchers in third grade, and that's like where I realized I could make my first dollar, trade a dollar for two type thing. And so we've heard some pretty cool, interesting stories about how people got their start, like the real route, right? Where like
Mhm.
where you came online, right? Where you were an NPC and then you came online as player one, right?
Right.
So like tell us about that, man. Where did it all start?
Yeah. So for me, I started in the blue collar world. I had kids really young, and I was basically systemized as a child to do the thing that everybody was told to do from that older generation, right? Go to school, get good grades, go to college so you can get a good job, and then just live in the workforce and retire when you become 60. And so that's kind of what I assumed was going to happen to my life.
Hmm.
Um, when I was in my 20s, I was working 2 jobs and,
Yep.
and raising a family. I didn't get to go party and do all this stuff.
Mm.
And I
Where
ended
are you
up,
at? Where did you grow up? Where are we in this time in your life?
yeah. So I graduated. I was born and raised in Georgia. Graduated high school and moved to Illinois.
Okay.
Um, and I really came from I mean, you could call it a very dysfunctional family, right? And so I'll take you back and I'll give you a little context. So, my mom and dad got divorced when I was about 6 months old. I visited my dad every other weekend. My mom had remarried also when I was 6 months old. So, um, he was originally from Illinois. We would always come to Illinois and visit on the summer and stuff to see his family and shit like that.
Hmm.
And we brought it up as a vote inside the family. Who
Hmm.
wants to move to Illinois? I was always the odd person out. I did not want to move to Illinois.
Hmm.
Well, when I was 13, I got into some
So what was
trouble.
the vote? Was you, your mom, your stepdad? How many siblings?
I have a half brother and a half sister.
Okay.
Yeah,
And you were the only one that was like
yeah, we're staying.
vo-
I'm not. We're
voted
not.
off
We're
the
not leaving.
island.
Yeah,
What was it about Georgia? I mean, what are we talking here? Like what kind of tax bracket, what kind of dysfunction are we talking about?
yeah. So when for me,
Are we like full slum American? Like anybody who knows who Yellow Wolf is,
yeah,
like
I
are we
mean, we
full
were
like
we were a
Kid
middle
Rock?
class family, like middle class family. We didn't like struggle all the time or anything like that. Um, I I saw it from two different spectrums because my stepdad was a firefighter. My mom always worked at like doctor offices doing like receptionist work and shit. And when I went to my dad's, though, it was a completely different world because I was an only child there.
Mm,
So if you've ever been in one of those situations where you go and visit, your other parent on the weekend, it's like they're the fun parent. Now,
Mm-hmm.
like every time I went there on the weekends, it's like, oh, let's go to a movie, let's go to the batting cage, let's go ride go karts, let's do that. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, that's where I want to live,
Mm.
you know. So when I became 13, I got in some trouble, just a typical teenage kid, and I don't
Took
want
you
to
long
say that our
enough.
stepdad. I don't
You
want
didn't
to
hear
say
me?
that
It said took you long
he
enough.
kind of no, kind of. You're like cutting in and out on my end.
Oh, okay. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can now. It's just a little
Okay.
choppy.
I was just breaking your balls. You said you got in some trouble when you were 13, and I said it took you long enough.
Yeah, yeah, right. But I got in some trouble, and I don't want to say my stepdad was like abusive. He wasn't, in my eyes, it wasn't abuse, right? He was just, it was just, he disciplined us the way that he was disciplined, I guess you could say.
Hmm.
But I remember what happened was I spit in the sink in the kitchen, and I washed it down the drain. I'm not a,
Hmm.
you know, um,
Like
and
spit,
and
like
I
just
mean,
like I got to spit, and there's the sink, or like you guys were arguing,
yeah.
and you're like,
No, no, no. Like I
okay,
just walked. I was in the kitchen. I can't remember what I was doing. I think I was doing the dishes or something. And I there was no
gotcha.
dishes in the sink, but I
Hmm.
spit in the sink. And he beat my ass. And I'm like, I'm done. I'm moving to dad's. And
Hmm.
so I left. And when I decided to move my dad's, that's when they decided to move to Illinois. So after I graduated, I ended up, you know, going to Illinois as well. And it was just completely different. It was culture shock because, I grew up in like 6A school. So the community was massive, not in the metropolitan area, but it was big city.
Hmm.
When I went to Illinois, I think there were 500 kids total in the school system.
Hmm.
So it was very rural area, and it was just a different world. And so, growing up, I was always working like regular jobs. When I moved to Illinois, there were no, regular jobs. Everybody worked on a farm. They worked in the timber, or they were from a farming family. So, they were just doing whatever. Well, my stepdad, he ran a logging business, and I started working in the timber with him. Um, when I did that forever in the summer. Uh, and there came a point where I was like, he wanted to kind of bring me into the business. And I took a step back, and it was like, I was driving a skidder. I made like $125 a day wages. It wasn't hourly. Some days we worked, some days we didn't because of rain. And he's like, is this something that you see yourself doing? We can bring you in as a part of the company. And I took a step back, and I just kind of, it was hard ass work, hot as hell in the summer, freezing cold, walking around in the snow in the winter. And I had a kind of epiphany moment where I looked, and I'm like, he's in his late 50s still doing this. His dad is almost 80 years old, still driving a logging truck. And it's like, what do they really have? They
Hmm.
don't really have any more than me.
Yep. Yep.
and they're way older. And so I was like, no, like this isn't what
They're
I want to
doing it
do.
because they need to keep doing it, or doing it because they love it. Because as like, there's a difference, right? And if you don't love
Yeah,
it, then you got to figure something else out. But if they're doing it because they need to keep doing it, then fucking run.
exactly. And I did not love it. I fucking hated it. It was miserable. It
Yep.
was miserable. And
Like my
so
grandfather didn't retire until he was like mid 70s, but it's because he loved what he did, and he's still fucking busy all day every day. He's a farm boy, so like I get it with him,
right,
and he saved every fucking penny. He made himself wealthy off of fucking little to nothing, like managing like, I mean, he was making a good wage, but like managing a local propane company um is not something that you can like make millions of dollars off of. But my grandfather's like penny
right,
pincher, investor. Like he's made himself a pretty decent living off of, or even just nest egg off of little to nothing, which is crazy. But yeah, it's that farm mentality of like, you use every piece of the chicken if you can, you use every piece of the cow, right? Like resourcefulness, you
yeah,
don't let anything go to waste, right?
yeah,
But
for
yeah,
sure.
I mean,
Yeah,
you gotta love it. I didn't want that for me, and he wanted me to go on that path. I'm like, I use this, not these.
right. And that was kind of how I was. I'm like, there's got to be a different method to this madness. And what I ended up doing was I started kind of I had created really good relationships with a lot of these loggers that were around the area, and being able to buy logs was a thing. And I started seeing like even though we would be in the timber cutting down trees, doing all of this stuff, we would lay them all out on our log yard, and then log buyers would come, and then they would just cut us checks for 40, 50, 80, $100,000.
Mhm.
And I'm
Yeah.
like,
So you're like, follow
I
the
want that
money.
guy's job.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Follow
like,
the
how do
money.
I get that guy's
The
job?
up the stream.
Yeah, exactly. And so I started having a conversation with some of these log buyers that would come out, and he's like, "Oh yeah," he's like, he's like, "Do you know how to buy logs?" And I'm like, "I mean, yeah, I've lived in the timber
I'm
every
pretty
day."
sure you just say, hey, these are logs. This is money.
Right.
You give
And
me wood, I give you dollars.
right,
Fight
exactly.
it over. Do you know
And
how to
I mean,
buy
there
logs? No,
there
I
is
get
a
it. I'm sure
strategic
there
process to it. You know what I mean? But I'm like, yeah, I could do that, man. And so he basically brought me on so that I could learn that trade. And my stepdad and them were kind of pissed about it, but it is what it
is.
is.
Mhm,
But I started leveraging my time better. And
mhm,
so I could go drive to a pile of logs, and I would get paid a commission based off of the amount of logs that I would buy.
mhm,
Right. And so I went from making $125 a day to being able to make, $2,000, $5,000 a day. And I'm like, okay, this makes sense.
mhm.
And then the market all of a sudden just absolutely crashed.
Did you have like a competitive advantage against was there other log buyers that were that didn't have the logging experience that you had that you were like you came in and now you had like some log buyer haters that were like, oh, this fucking guy, like
Of course, of
I'm just
course.
trying to
Anytime
engulf
you go
myself in like the log buying fucking reality show that's playing in my head right now.
yeah, okay, like if you think about it, like it was people would show up to bid on logs, and of course everybody would like talk shit about each other and all this other stuff. Yeah, it was a whole thing.
Dude,
Very dramatic log
there needs to
buyers.
Wait,
be
how
a
old were you at this
there needs to
point?
be a Duck Dynasty of log buying. This is fucking golden right here.
Right.
How old were you at
So
this point?
I was still pretty young. I was probably 25 or so. I was probably
Okay,
25.
cool. Right around my age.
And but after the market crashed, like there was just not enough money to be made. Like it wasn't worth my time anymore. And I was kind of getting burnt out. And so I was like, okay, what else can I do? And I love fitness. So I went and got a job in a gym. I got certified through NASM, started doing that, and I fucking hated it. I hated it. Like I worked crazy hours, and it was like, oh, here you go. You get like $10 an hour. I'm like, this is ridiculous. So I did that for about 2 months, and then I ended up seeing an ad on Facebook in like 2015, and it was how to start an online fitness training business. And I'm like, okay. So I go through the ad. Of course, it was like it was Alex Hormozy actually. It was like when he first started Gym Launch, and it was how to be a
Okay.
hybrid trainer. So it was for gym owners and fitness trainers. And so I went through that, and I'm like, the guy that sold me was a really good salesman, of course. And I was like, all right, let's try it. So I started, creating
Wait,
fitness
who
content.
sold you? Who sold you? Do you
I don't
remember his
remember the
name?
no,
Oh,
I
because we're
don't. I
we're
don't
good
remember
friends.
the sales guy's name.
Because we're good friends with a couple of people who used to be on Hermosi's team. So it would be funny to find out one of them is like who sold you.
Right. Yeah, yeah. I don't remember the guy's name. And when I went through, it was like, a lot of imposter syndrome, which wasn't even really my fucking thing then. It was just like,
Mhm,
self doubt more or less. It was like, why is somebody gonna pay me? I think I was charging like $900 for like a 16-week program. I'm like, why is somebody gonna pay me this much money? But once I signed like one or two people, I'm like, holy shit, this is real. This is gonna work.
mhm,
And so like I just doubled down on it, and
mhm.
then went and got
What?
another
So
mentor.
what was your lack of belief in it? It was just an internal thing, and then like what was the epiphany? Like obviously, like nobody's gonna pay me this much, and then somebody does, and you're like, oh shit, it works. Like, but what is like the deeper thing that like may be helpful for somebody watching or listening that is feeling the same way?
Yeah, so it was definitely an internal thing because I didn't have enough conviction in what I was doing to say I'm worth this amount of money, right? I
Hmm.
think that was the thing. Is
Yep.
because I've never been an online trainer. Like, yes, I know how to get in shape and I can help other people, but is it worth this much money? I think that was the
Hmm.
big disconnect for me.
Hmm.
And once I had somebody buy it, then it was that light bulb moment where, okay, this can actually work.
Yeah.
And I became hyper focused on.
What was your price point? What were you charging?
So when I first started, it was $900 for a 16-week program, and what I did was it was all through email. I
Mhm.
had an Excel spreadsheet that I put people's workouts on, put their food on, all that stuff, um, and that's how I sent it to them. And then we would do a phone call for like 30 minutes a week, and it was more or less a check-in. And I mean, people were getting great results from it, and I just kept doubling down. It's like, how can I repeat what I did the first time and do it again?
Yep.
And it continued to work. And then of course came referrals and everything else. But just like everything else, there's always a roadblock or a bottleneck. But like as I started growing that business, then came more of, okay, what are the things that I repeat? How can I automate this task? Then CRMs came around. I got involved with that stuff. Just adding more moving pieces to the business to help me leverage my time more, so I could focus more on like the money making activities and less of the client fulfillment and the busy work end.
Hmm.
But that's where it all kind of started, was my journey of just being that freaking logger and seeing what I wanted my life to not look like because of the people around me, and then just kind of going and doing what I actually love to do, which was fitness.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you look back on your pricing and then like after you close the deals, you're like, shit, man, I'm actually helping people with their health and their like longevity of their life. Like if somebody can fucking drop however many thousands of dollars people drop on like, Birkin bags for their girl and shit, like, damn, dude, can you get in shape for 900 bucks?
Right. Right.
Funny. All right. So, and then, so what, you scaled that business, as a solopreneur, fitness coach. Um, and how long did you do that for?
Yeah. So I started that business in late 2015.
Mhm.
And I ended up scaling that business to, I want to say the biggest month we had was around like 125,000 a month.
Yep.
Um, and
Facebook
at that
ads,
point,
Instagram, organic, what were you doing?
so I was only doing, so it was organic and Facebook ads. I never really messed with Instagram. Back then it was really leveraging Facebook groups.
Mm,
So basically it's like, all right, cool. Where would my ideal client be hanging out? And I'm going to find that group, and then just providing value in the group and basically sniping people out of the group, starting conversations, stuff like that, which in today's marketplace, like Facebook groups have been slaughtered so hard, like they don't even really convert anymore.
yep.
But that's kind of where I started. And we had, let's see, I want to say we had 9 head coaches that were doing fulfillment. And then there were about 3 or 4 assistant coaches. And then, of course, VAs across the board, doing cold outreach, then people coming through ads and all that stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
I got to the point where I was burnt out with this fitness, because I developed more of a passion for the business end of it, like the
Hmm.
logistics, that side of it. And my kind of thought process was, you know, I can help change people's lives through health and fitness, but if I can help other trainers that are dealing with the same thing that I dealt with, if I can help them, then the byproduct of that is being able to impact more lives through health and fitness
Hmm.
because I'm helping them impact others. And so
Hmm.
that's kind of where I started my journey there, was helping in-person trainers and online fitness coaches build brand and scale their own thing.
Hmm.
And I absolutely love that. Then I got a little more involved with like Instagram, to a degree, even though I didn't see as much traction on Instagram as I always have Facebook. That's just been my primary client acquisition source, has been Facebook,
Hmm.
through organic and paid. But
Isn't it funny how
um,
every like social media platform has like its own energy of like what you can and can't do, and even though it's never been like a written law, it's just how you're able to conduct business on there based on the energy of the platform. I find
Yeah.
that wildly interesting. Where like they're the exact same people that you could be talking to on Instagram, that you're talking to on Facebook, but it's a different energy of conversation because of the unwritten laws of how you do business on each platform. Isn't that
Right.
fucking
Mm-hmm.
weird?
Yeah. Like,
It
and it works
is.
the same with like, you can, because every platform performs different, right? Right. And it's like, I could take a piece of content that absolutely slapped on Facebook, got tons of engagement, got tons of leads from, go and post it on Instagram and absolutely dead. And it's
Hmm.
like, and it's the same people. Like, even
Yeah.
though they're friends on Facebook, they also follow me on Instagram, but there's
Yep.
nothing there.
Yep. It's fucking weird,
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah. It's crazy.
That's why kind of like this, and especially now in 2025 and more as it continues to evolve with AI and everything, like everybody who's doing AI the wrong way is kind of making it even worse. Um, but you know, the model of like how many touch points you should have with a prospect before they even hop on a sales call with you to build that trust, and like incorporating short form touch points, long form touch points, like that whole ascension process has just become this fucking beast because like trust is at an all-time low since COVID. Amateur hour has turned into fucking happy hour. um
Yeah.
it's just nuts. I don't know, man. I mean, I'm blessed. I feel like one of the best things that ever happened to us is us building the relationships that we've built through like masterminds and stuff like that, and like people we meet on the podcast and stuff, because like we're still not even running a dime in paid ads. Like I won't hop on a sales call if they're not referred to me. Like I don't want to deal with the you don't know me. Oh no, ew, gross. Like
Yeah.
absolutely disgusting. You don't know who I am and what I do. I'm not selling you. I did that.
Right.
Like I don't want to have to overcome the no like and trust factor with you. I'm 41 years old.
Right.
Like go check out the testimonials on my website before you hop on a sales call with me. And I mean that in literally the most like humble and like positive way possible. Like it's the market that makes me that way, not people, right? Like we are we're very like our client success matters 10 times more than our marketing or our sales, right? So like once you become a client, like you're going to refer people based on because of the results that we get for you. So like if you come to a sales call and I have to convince you or even just like walk you through a process of helping you like see what you need more than you see what you need, you're not going to come in and get the level of results that over 150 people have just based on your mindset. And now I have to coach you too. You know what I mean? So like, because we're a
Yeah.
service business, right? And for me to have to coach my clients, like I could scale higher. We have the everything in place to be able to scale quicker. We just haven't because like I love that we're batting 1,000, and I'd rather go slow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
it's crazy. But because like you see people that do like they scale too fast, their marketing far outweighs their marketing and their sales team because that's how you collect cash, right? And that far outweighs the client success side of things. And then what?
Mhm.
They're like fucking
Yeah.
Icarus flying too close to the sun, and then they get burned and fall,
What did we
right?
say earlier on our call with Amanda? We were like, it's speaks volumes whenever your marketing outpaces your client success and fulfillment.
Yeah. I mean, because now you're going to spend more money to acquire a customer in the long term because you're churning more people than you're having like unless they're a raving
And your
fan
reputation is at
and
stake.
referring people. Like my job is not done until you've sent me a referral after you paid me. Then I know my mission is complete with you. You know what I mean?
Hmm. And your reputation is at stake. Like if your marketing gets ahead of your client success.
Yeah, for sure.
So, and that's
Dude,
exactly what we were talking about with one of our
I fucking
clients.
envy, dude. I envy Dustin in the golden era, and like we had Iggy on earlier or last week, Iggy Odigizua. He got his 2 10x award from the fitness industry too, and I'm like, dude, you fucking guys, man, your deliverable isn't something you have to fucking build. The client gets to go build the body. And I know you guys have your own had your own struggles in that venture too, but I'm like, I have to fucking build the AI for my clients, and it has to work for them. All the work is on me and my team. I like I wish I could be like, all right, here's what you got to go do. They pay me 25 grand and I'm like, I'll do a weekly check-in with you. You do all the weightlifting.
Yeah,
That's
that's so of course, the longer you're in your business, the more you have to expand. And it's like, okay, what other offers can I create? How can I create an ascension product that makes my clients sticky for attention, all this other stuff? And I've experimented a lot with the done for you stuff, like done for you models. And at the end of the day, like I haven't found something that works well enough to say this is what I'm going to continue to use.
Yeah. You
And
have
the
to be
reason
like
why is
psychotically good at what you do too. And most people aren't willing to like, so the people that do get into it, and if they half-ass it, like it's here today, gone tomorrow. Like, yeah.
yeah,
When it's all on
yeah,
you, it's all on you.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's and that's where it's like even as a business owner, it's like I want to be able to manage things that are in my control, and if it's not in my control, then I can't guarantee that client's going to see success out of it. And
Hmm.
so it's like we've experimented a lot with right after COVID, it was short form content was really booming. People hate creating organic content. It's like cool. So what if we just create a done for you model? I'll leverage and outsource all of my video editors. They'll script the content for you. All you got to do is hold your phone up and film it. They'll edit all the content for you. They'll post the content for you. They'll do all that. But then even then, people still wouldn't just hold their phone up and film the content,
Yeah, I know.
even though they were on a timeline.
Yeah.
So
The thing that
I
you
don't know.
paid for and the one thing that's required of you, and I can't get you to do that.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. But
So
So
how
I
long were
want
you?
to come.
Yeah, Josh.
Oh, 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 oh.
You're good, bro.
I was gonna
Go
ask the
for it.
same thing that you were just about to ask. So you go ahead. Well, yeah, it was like, how long were you? Well, I don't know. And you threw me off, man. What were you
Hey,
gonna
Junior, you
say?
want me to do it? No, I'm just messing with you. No, I was just gonna say, man, like, so you scaled that business. Like, how many years were you doing that? What did the exit look like? Like, walk us through what happened next, man.
sure. So after the fitness business, I had a CEO at the time, super eager guy. I had a conversation with him that I really didn't want to be in the business anymore. He was, really wanting the business. He wanted to continue with his position, and I just kind of offered him the sale of it. I ended up leaving with a little bit of equity in it, and it was a really clean exit. Which I haven't done very many exits, but from what I hear, they're always typically messy. So I was happy with that exit, and then after that, I started the business consulting side. Um, Go high level, or no, actually it was ClickFunnels is where I kind of I was involved in ClickFunnels and stuff, doing an affiliate program, all that good stuff. And then a little later, Go High Level came out. I ended up white labeling a Go High Level, white labeled it, creating kind of a marketing agency. I've always been a fan of real estate. I've invested in a lot of real estate, so I was like, how can I create this for real estate agents? Like, what is it that real estate agents are missing? And so I basically tried to create it as a done for you thing because most real estate agents use some type of CRM, whether it's like KV Core or something like that, and they're clunky. So I went through and created something specifically for real estate agents to where as a lead came through, that lead had to enter a 3-digit code that was text to them to verify their phone number before they could go to the next step.
Mhm.
This was kind of preventing that bad lead that everybody and their brother complains about. And so as people came through, then it was the Go High Level system would automatically call, reach out to them, do all this stuff. That works really well. What I learned about real estate
So
agents is that
just so
they're
I understand, my
lazy.
bad. The
You're good.
the 3-digit code was on opt-in so that they had to like two-factor authenticate that that is actually their real phone number. Is that the process that we're talking about here?
Correct. Yeah.
Got you. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. So real estate agents are lazy. Yep, we're familiar. And
Look,
so where are we going?
dude, yeah, lazy. And so I got to the point where it was like people were complaining and I would pull up their CRM and I'm like, look at all these leads. Like, how many of them did you call? Well, I called them, but they didn't answer. I'm like, okay, did you call them again? No, they didn't answer the first time. And I realized that just became a complete headache. So I got away
Hmm.
from real estate only and I created it more for fitness coaches. And so lead magnets, all this stuff was done for you. And that works really well. So I just started giving it to clients, and then people that weren't clients could just sign up for a subscription for it as a marketing agency. Um, and that seemed to work really well. I still use that to this day. But on the business consulting side, in 2020, I kind of expanded because there was such a demand from other people outside of just fitness. People reaching out, hey, like, you know, I I'm an interior designer, but I want to start a coaching business. Like, can you help me do this? And so I started picking up other clients, using them as beta tests until after I could see that it actually worked. Then I would open up the business to other people like that.
Hmm.
And at the end of the day, like I was helping anybody and their brother that wanted to start a coaching business because it's all the same, right? When you understand marketing, you understand sales, you understand client acquisition,
Yep.
like the fulfillment is on them. I can't help with that, but I can help with everything else.
Yeah, I mean that's like us, man. I mean, between the sales and marketing experience that Joshua and I have, when we started Leverage a year and a half ago or so, we didn't go niche specific. We're just like, we understand the principles of sales, principles of marketing. You understand what's already working in your processes within your business. We just need to apply the principles and structure and foundation of what we know with it and apply it with AI to your business. I don't need to be niche specific. Like this shit doesn't
Right.
change from business to business. It is custom. It's very custom. It's very white glove. And that's why it's like a 90-day working period. And it's, some people think it's super expensive, but I mean, we have I have one client that paid us 30 grand and has made over 1 million in less than a year off of what we built them. So it's like, I guess it's I don't know the word I'm looking for, but you know what I mean. It's kind of like how you perceived $900 to be too expensive at the time, but you weren't your ideal avatar. You
No.
you were thinking scarcity. You just needed to find the people who had the abundance mindset already so that you could hop over to that world.
Yeah. Yeah, the pain has to outweigh the cost of the investment in order for someone to make a decision,
Oh
right?
yeah.
And for me, it didn't at that time. But for the clients that I brought on, that pain was it outweighed it. So I brought them on as clients. And once I started kind of understanding the psychology of sales and marketing and stuff, it started to make a lot more sense. Just like anybody else, when you first start a business, the longer you're in it, your level of awareness increases over the amount of time and you figure out what works well and what doesn't, and you rinse and repeat
Mhm.
what doesn't.
Was this so you started this what you said around 2020 and you still use it to this day but you don't sell it anymore? Did you have a team on the back end side of this or is it just kind of a solopreneur thing using like white label support like
Yeah,
you know
so we I did have a team on the back end then when I was selling it, right? And kind of the process that's used was everything went to like an onboarding form, then to Slack to the team, then the VAs go in there and they handle everything and building it all out. Now I just have two guys that manage it all for clients.
Mhm.
But
Cool. Um and so that's not your main focus anymore though, is it?
no, so right now, um, I run a very, very lean team for just the business consulting side of things. I've slowed down a lot just because, I'm getting older. Like, I'm not really chasing money anymore. Like, I do it because I enjoy doing it. And I work with some one-on-one clients, but it really has to be a good fit because I only have a handful of spots available because I only have me, no other
Mhm.
client success manager. And then I do some group coaching stuff for people that just want the education, to where they go and get access to it. And that's more of like do it yourself, not done with you.
Mhm. And so for anybody who's watching or listening, like what would you say it's the MRR of what you built and the exit that allows you that freedom of choice? Because ultimately, nobody gets into entrepreneurship because they want to work 15-hour days for the next decade, right? They get into it because they're looking for a deeper level of freedom that they can't get in the traditional fucking societal construct that is just, 40, 40, 40ing us in each hole, right?
Yeah.
NHL.
So yeah, it's 40, 40, 40 fucking all day. It's just
Kevin
Rockefeller
has this way
Bukaki.
of graphically explaining concepts
It's the
that
it's the
is
Rockefeller
so
fucking family Bukaki that we're still fucking dealing with 100 years later.
such grotesque descriptions of things.
No,
Um,
I look at it. Yeah, I look at it from a standpoint of um, kind of the things that I've done. I have I did it because I enjoy doing it, and I had to come to the realization that like this isn't the end goal. This is just the vehicle to help me to get to the next thing, right? And
mhm,
so, um, kind of with the fitness business, that was just my vehicle to help me get to business consulting because that's what I decided to do. And now I think that the vehicle was business coaching, and it's allowed me to get to the position where I am now. It's where I get more control of the time. And it's like I have different things where, buying assets and stuff like that. It's where there's cash flow there. It's where it doesn't require so much more of my time. And I'm able to go,
mhm,
hey, like this is the next thing I want to go do. Or I can say, hey, no, I don't want to do anything. I just want to do what I'm doing now.
mhm,
So just having that mindset of like, this isn't where I'm going to end. This is just a vehicle to help me get to somewhere else.
yep.
But always having that vision of where you're wanting to be in 5 years and plan for that.
Mhm. Yeah, man. And being cognizant of like not being like emotionally attached just because you like built something doesn't mean that you have to like fucking go down with be the band going down with the Titanic, right? Like
Right.
um staying aware of like what you said, like this is the vehicle that's going to take me to the next level. And like, you know, am I continuing to buy back my time? Am I continuing to evolve as an entrepreneur? Um, you know, am I stagnant in this now, right? Or what's the writing on the wall in the future? Like, should I exit? Should I um, pivot? Should I expand my offerings, right? Like some people, there's a lot of businesses that just don't even have, some people will start low ticket and then never go mid ticket or high ticket, or some people will start high ticket and then completely ignore that they have just as many opportunities, if not more, to do mid ticket with less deliverables, um, and make, you could potentially 3x your revenue over the course of the next like 60, 90 days by just throwing out a mid ticket offer. So yeah. Um, Ultimately, like, what did you learn throughout all of this? Like, what is the major thing from, fucking login to selling logs to like going to be a trainer and realizing like this is fucking bullshit. This is like waiting tables with muscles, and and then finding Hermosi's like coaching and stuff, and then that evolution. Like, what's the overarching theme here that you could just like send down to somebody that maybe is just getting started or at a phase that you've already gone through?
Yeah. So there's a couple, but I'll try and keep it really short. So I think, one of the biggest things is that, you know, no one's coming to save you. You have to rely on yourself. Like, don't rely on anyone else. Find your own path for you to do what it is that you want to do. The second piece is that even though it sounds very cliche, uh, you can always make more money, but you can never make more time, right? So your time is the most valuable asset. So use it very wisely,
Yep.
and never attach your goal to a materialistic item. Always attach it to something bigger. So for me, for example, when we started doing well in the fitness business, I started chasing the uh, the profit instead of the purpose or the vision. And so I was like, I'm doing all of this because I want to go and get a McLaren 720S. That's what I want. That's why I'm doing this. But then for whatever reason, I thought that once I got that car, that something was going to change. I was going to feel like I made it. Like, oh, I made it. I own a supercar, right? The fact is I bought the car. 3 months later, I fucking hated it. And I'm like, I felt nothing. Nothing changed. The business didn't do anything. Like nothing else happened. There was no great thing that came from it. So always attach it to the purpose and not just the materialistic item. Don't chase that.
Hmm.
But that's kind
Isn't
of
it
it,
funny
man.
how, like, as people, like, you could, people can say it. You could hear it 1,000 times. You can hear it 1,000,000 times. We have to experience shit to fully, like, understand it, right? Like, it's like, um, I had a mentor about a decade ago was when I first met him, and he would always say, knowledge. They say knowledge is power. That's bullshit. Like knowledge is benign. Like it's the assimilation of the knowledge, the wisdom that you acquire from going and doing the thing that the knowledge, gave you. That is actually where the power lies, right? Like, you know, Ty Lopez reads a shit ton of books, but if he didn't apply any of that knowledge, would anybody even know who the fuck he is? He'd just be that weird guy with a bunch of books in his garage. Like,
I know, right?
like that's
Right.
fucking like right? Like the knowledge is bullshit. Like go do something with it. Or it's absolutely useless. Um, and that's why you'll see like one you can give the same information. I mean, we all have clients. We've all done coaching at some capacity, done service at some capacity, we've done sales at some capacity. You see firsthand, you can give different people the same exact information, and the fucking shit they do with it is so crazy compared to each other. Like the contrast, right? The polarity of like what results people get. That goes to show you right there.
Dude,
Like,
absolutely, man. Yeah, like even with our team, sometimes like we'll give somebody an inch and they'll take a mile, and we'll give some people a mile and they'll just go an inch with it.
yep.
And I'm just like, what is the disconnect here? Like, is it, what, like, I want to ask you, Dustin, what do you think the disconnect? Is it identity? Is it hunger? Is it drive? Is it like, what do you think?
I think it comes down to the characteristic of the individual, right? And some people are just built different,
Hmm.
right? And it's that characteristic trait. And I've seen it time and time again. That's where it's like if someone's coming onto my team, I don't give a shit about what you've done in the past. All I care about is you're in alignment with the culture and the vision of what we're trying to do. And you
Hmm.
can, if it makes sense, great. If you're not on board, like, sorry, you
Hmm.
know, that's
Right?
all that it really comes down to. And even with the individuals, like I've had people come in and pay me $20,000 for a mastermind, go out and make 1.5 million off of it. I have people come in and pay $20,000 for a mastermind and show up to 2 group calls and never a one-on-one, and I'll never hear from them again.
Hmm.
And it's like, I don't get it.
Yeah. Dude, I'll take it a step deeper and like I'll even say every single person on this planet has their own like so you watch some of these videos on the internet and people talk about like we live in a simulation and shit. Dude, I will tell you right now, what you believe is what you receive, and everybody has their own fucking set of beliefs that are completely unique to them. And so like fucking wrestle with that for a little bit and let me know that if it makes you fucking lose your mind or not. Because like literally you can see firsthand, like once you start to know and understand people's belief systems, you're like, and you can let it be like, you know, polarize you or like, create issues between you and other people. And sometimes that's unavoidable, but it's like, or let you think they're crazy, but like that every single person believes that they're right. Every single one of us, 8 billion or so people on this planet Earth, and we all think we're right. So fucking mill over that for a little bit,
Yeah.
right? Like what you believe is what you receive, and like our whole job here at the most like core level is to just evolve in our own experience and like learn how to coexist in the most prosperous way possible, and it's fucking difficult.
Yeah, it is. So, Dustin, I'm curious about a couple things because, and we don't have any hard plans just yet, but we're working towards them. And the word exit has been circulating amongst Kevin and I's vocabulary more in the past month or two than it has ever, you know. And so I want to back up a little bit and talk about the season that you were in whenever you exited. Because everybody's like, yeah, I had a successful exit, you know, and like I sold my business, but nobody ever talks about like what that process looks like. You said yours was clean, that's great, but like where were like hypothetically,
Hmm.
you're like in, you know, whatever you what year did you exit?
2018.
So okay, so I was gonna say 2018. That's cool. So it's 2018. You're running your business. You have a partner. You're working with clients. Did you guys like strategize an exit and you start systemizing everything? Did somebody come to you and we're like, hey, this is what your business is valued at. This is how much we'll give it for you, and then you entered in like a 4 month negotiation process, or it was like, bring us into your shoes through the exit process because I'm genuinely curious. I want to hear from firsthand experience what that went like.
Sure. So here's what people don't tell you about exiting a business. Yes, business valuation matters. And so for me, what I did was I talked to my attorney. He said, okay, this is what we need to do. We went and found someone that would go through to the valuation and then handle the entire exit for us. And
What percentage does
what
something like that cost?
so I chose a flat fee, not a percentage. I
Hmm.
just chose a flat fee. And
Up front or
what
upon exit?
up front.
Fuck.
Yeah, it was up front.
Is there any guarantee?
And
We got any risk reversal here if I don't sell this business?
no, there was
Fuck.
no risk reversal, none of that. No. But
We'll work with you
The risk
until you
reversal
get
is you
results.
don't pay a percentage.
Yeah.
yeah, I could have probably gone the percentage route. It was an option, but I chose just the flat fee.
Did it end
Um
up working out to
it
be
did.
more
Yeah,
better
it
for
worked
you than
out.
the
I would have
percentage
paid
would have been?
way more if I did a percentage.
No. What level of certainty did you have that you weren't just throwing money out into the fucking ether on
Yeah,
the exit?
there was no real certainty there.
See?
All I
Again,
knew was
everybody who's watching and listening, what you believe is what you receive.
Yep.
yeah, 100%.
'Cause if
I
you went into that without certainty and you went into it like being fearful, chances are you would have fucked with it. Energy's real, man.
yeah,
That's a dude. Like
yeah.
we got a client that's she owns like 7 businesses and she's got like Disney characters in the background and stuff while we're on coach on calls with her recently when we were closing her and everything. And she's our biggest close as far as cash collected that we've had in this business in the past year and a half. And I'm looking, you know, and I'm like, what makes her different than other people, right? I'm always like, I'm very observant, right? And I see all these little Disney characters around in the background, and I'm like, oh shit, she believes in magic. That's what it is. Isn't
Yeah,
that fucking crazy? And I
it
said it to
is.
her, and she was like, and she looked at me and she was like, that's exactly what it is. Deep.
Yeah, you gotta get it beyond the surface level stuff for it
Yeah.
to make sense.
Hell yeah. Yeah. If you don't understand what the fuck I'm talking about, this podcast isn't for you. All right. Keep going.
No, no. And a lot of times, like the lady that helped us, she said typically the hardest part of going through with an exit is finding potential buyers. But I already had that locked down because my COO is the one that wanted the business, so it was fairly easy to make numbers work. Um, and the other piece that I didn't know was that the business valuation, the biggest factor in the valuation determines on, can this business operate at what degree without the owner involved,
Hmm.
right? So if I step away, will the business continue to operate, and to what degree, right?
Hmm.
Will it be at 100%? Will it be at 50%? Like, what's that look like?
Hmm.
And that was the piece that I was nervous about.
Yep.
Not because I had a team and stuff, but it's
Hmm.
like, I haven't really taught these guys marketing and all this
Yeah.
shit. Like,
Was
I
the
normally
team
run
the
all
team
that.
was part of the exit? Like they're buying everything.
Correct. Yeah, the team was part of the exit. Yeah.
Okay. And then
Yeah.
what did you have to do anything to get that valuation up where they were like, okay, your marketing systems are kind of all over the place because it's clear to us that you're doing all the marketing, and so there needs to be an SOP around this, or what kind of shit did you have to do to prepare for the exit?
Yeah, so I essentially, like, we had SOPs for different positions, like CSM, VAs, all that shit. But I basically had to go through and build an SOP for
Every
if
little
this,
dog
then
shit
that.
task. Yeah,
If this, then that, for everything for my COO to understand before we could actually exit. And it was about an 8 month process from start to finish.
dude. At least it's 2015. I mean 2015. At least it's 2025 for us, Joshua. Like we have AI to be able to fucking expedite some of that shit. But damn, bro. And
Yeah, so
especially
bring
for
us
me, like that's a
more
fucking
into
nightmare.
detail with it though.
Yeah.
I'm super curious about more on that. Like, you paid a fee. It was 8 months. Your COO wanted to buy it. You had to systemize everything, and so go a little deeper on that. I'm still curious.
Sure. What do you got? Give me a.
Yeah. Okay. So how did you
Yeah,
go
let's
through
turn
the
this
process?
podcast into you coaching me how to exit my company, please, Dustin, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Like
No.
I know we have a certain amount of time together here. Let's make sure I get the most out of it.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, no, it's a topic of discussion. So that we're talking
There you go.
about. So, and I think a lot of entrepreneurs don't hear about this. But
Yeah, for
you
sure.
you had you started saying something like it's not about the multiple is dependent on how much can the business operate without the owner.
Mhm.
And so, um, a lot of people think that the valuation multiple is dependent on the revenue or the industry or things like that. So let me just ask you, like, can you share what a fitness coaching business would go for as like in terms of a multiple? Like, is it 5x, 10x, 20x?
In regards to the revenue, are you saying with the multiple
Hmm.
of the revenue itself?
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
So it depends because there's a lot of moving variables.
Hmm.
How big is the team? Does the team stay on the exit or does the team go?
Hmm.
Um, if let's say for context, I had a business that was doing $250,000 a month, right?
Mm,
And it did $250,000 a month over the course of 10 months, right? So $2.5 million business, and I was wanting to exit the business. If I were taking everything with me, the valuation of the business would dramatically drop. They would value the business at more about $50,000 a month in revenue because the team is no longer there, the owner's no longer there. Now, if the team were to stay and everything were to stay in place, they would project, okay, this is what the business is doing. The only thing leaving is the owner. Then it would be more of a 5x on the reoccurring revenue for the last 12 months.
okay,
The other
got
piece
you.
that goes into it is the length of time that the business has been profitable, right? So going through a profit and loss, what are the expenses of the business? What's the actual cash collected of the business? That would be more of the true valuation, not necessarily the revenue number this generated.
Interesting. Okay, so it's more on profit margin than it is on actual gross revenue.
Correct, because and you know this just as well as I do in today's world. Anybody can go through and share their Stripe screenshot and say, "Oh, we
Yeah.
did 300,000 this month," right? But what was the actual cash collected and the profit in the business? Because you have no context on 9 times out of 10. And what people don't tell you is like, this is the way we work. Like when I did 325,000 a month in revenue a couple months in a row. And that's what the paperwork showed. But what they didn't see is that we really only brought in about $70,000 in profit
Mm-hmm.
because of ad spend, all the other expenses that went into play.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I mean, to break it down based on everything that you're saying right here is like the main two things that anybody should be focusing on if they want to exit at the largest potential valuation is, I mean, this is why Hermosi's always talking about EBITDA, and some people don't even know what the fuck he's talking about, but it's EBITDA and like is like the North Star is make your fucking business franchisable, basically. Like make it
Yes.
so that it is so turnkey that, people can come in and work in it like McDonald's, and not even have to have barely any training, just be able to push buttons and the shit runs, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's how, when I started kind of building coaching businesses or helping other people, is like more of that done for you type of thing. How can I create a turnkey business or a turnkey fitness coaching business for a client? Give them everything, even the payment processor, A to Z. All they have to do is help people get the result that they promised. Like that's it. Like
Mhm.
that's all they have to do.
That's super helpful. Thank you for unpacking that a little bit more.
Yeah, no problem.
What did you do after the exit? Like, what was life like after that? You sell your business, you got all
Oh,
this
wait.
cash, and
I
then
also want to know, what
oh,
would you have done differently?
Okay. So what I would have done differently is I would
Like
have
any
waited.
mistakes that you made in hindsight that you would go back and do different. Yeah.
Yeah, I should have waited. I
Waited
exited
for
too
what?
soon. I should have waited another year for the valuation to get higher.
Uh-huh. Those that rush
Um,
ahead don't get far. So you should have waited it out a little bit longer to allow for the bounty of the sowing the seeds that you've planted.
yeah, yeah, because we were still, I don't want to say a premature business, but we had just really started to scale in regards of revenue and growth and things like that. We were getting way more referrals. Our retention was better. We had more monthly recurring revenue. And I saw that as, hey, like, okay, let's create this strategy so that I can leave now
Mm,
that it's getting smooth. When in hindsight, if I would have waited a year, we would have been at a much larger monthly recurring revenue. The valuation would have probably been 3 times what I exited at.
mm,
wow.
uh,
Well, you live and learn, don't you?
You do.
mhm,
But
Um, yeah, and that sparks another question. So, like, I want to ask, like, what did you do afterwards, and then what's your plans for your existing business?
sure. So after I exited, we went to Hawaii for a while
mm,
and
As
enjoyed
you
that.
should.
And then I ended up taking a lot of that money and just dumping it into the new business. Um, Startup costs, stuff like that. I didn't go out and like, ball out or buy nothing great. Like I just didn't do none of that. I was like, hey, let's take this money and reinvest it into making this bigger, better, and stronger.
mhm. Got it. And so what year did you exit again? Sorry.
2018.
Okay. And then COVID.
Yeah.
And so did you kind of like, you exited at the right time, like pre-COVID, and you kind of just like rode above the wave of all the bullshit everybody else went through?
So, when COVID happened, I think that plays a huge role in how we scaled as fast as we did in this business because
And for anybody who's
gyms were
watching or
shut.
listening, let everybody know what this business is. You keep talking about it like
Yeah, so the business consulting side of things. When I was helping online fitness trainers build brand and scale their own business,
Mhm,
um, I think that it had a big role in how fast we grew because, gyms were shut down, personal trainers couldn't work. People
mhm,
were still needing to stay in shape or get in shape, or people were just sitting at home eating Cheetos and Doritos and they're like, at war with the person they saw in the mirror and really couldn't do anything about it. And people had more time on their hands. So they started diving more into personal development, learning
mhm,
more skills, more education, reading more books, doing things like that. And over the course of like 2021 was like our biggest month ever in business because of COVID,
mhm,
I think. Um, and I really think that changed the coaching space in the online world in itself forever because that's where so many coaches started coming around, popping up, new businesses, entrepreneurs, stuff like that, because
mhm,
they realized and they came to the realization that, you know, they're just an employee and they're living by other people's schedules.
mhm,
And their boss, no matter how long, if they've been at a job 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, if it becomes inconvenient for them to continue to pay them, they can say, hey, you're done and walk away with nothing.
Hmm.
you know. So I think that played a lot into how fast we grew through that COVID period.
Mm. Nice.
So you got to launch this business, and Dan Martell talks about this because he had three successful software exits, and he talks about building with the end in mind. So you had just come out of exiting a previous business. You had some time to really think about, strategize, and capital to invest on on the onset of the new business. So you were really able to start this new business with enough capital, with the end in mind, knowing what systems needed to be in place, knowing what talent needed to be in place to really have, not have it easy, but you knew and had the reference points experientially, not just informationally, about what to do on the onset of launching your new business. So you think that, that played obviously it did play a huge role in the success that you've been able to have thus far.
Yeah, and starting this business knowing that starting this business with the intent to exit, right? So it was very intentional. Starting the
Hmm.
business is like, okay, I know, like, here are the moving pieces that I need to put in play because the end goal is exit, and here's how I can fix what I would have done differently then.
Nice. That's awesome, dude. So the goal is to exit this business.
Absolutely, yeah, yeah.
Cool. What I mean, like, how do you gauge your timeline? Is it like just when you get tired of it, or is it like,
No, that definitely should not be how you gauge your timeline.
Not necessarily when I get tired of it. 2027 is where I'm going to be. Is when I'm probably going to exit. Only because I will have the records and everything behind me in the timeline to say this is how long we've been in business. This is what consistently we've done in regards to revenue for profit loss. This is how big the team is, and I can walk away for a year on and this is my plan. So I'm going to walk away and be completely hands off, just founder, not even CEO, so that I'll have that in evaluation that, hey, I've not even been actively operating in this business for the last year. And these are the numbers.
Mm.
Now, that
nice?
could come back again. I'm hoping that doesn't come back to bite me in the ass and me go, hey, I'm completely hands off and revenue completely tank and then fuck the business up completely. But we'll see.
It's an interesting concept. Yeah, man. Oh, so many nuances when it comes to exits, man. Talking about
You
scaling businesses and stuff.
just be intentional. Like, if you guys are you have already you have in your mind already that the goal of this business is to exit, start planning for that exit now.
Hmm.
That way the strategy is already there and you can pull the ripcord whenever you decide to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So talking about pulling the ripcord, a lot of people I feel like have this idea or perspective about exits. It's kind of like coming across a rainbow with a pot of gold at the end. It's like, oh my gosh, somebody wants to buy my business. How amazing. Like, lucky me. But like you say it like it is an extremely intentional thing that you do, and like that there are people. I know there's trillions of dollars of private equity money out there that people want to buy businesses that are doing well. um, and I think, just because I'm, a little younger, experience, not there, in the business world, but like there is a ton of people who want to buy successful businesses. And there's a lot of capital out there to be able to do so. Um, and so I think that that's a big shift for me. It's like, personally speaking, on my perspective about exiting this business, is that like it's not going to be hard to find a buyer. It's just like knowing your net, like doing things like this, connections, network, getting in front of the people and in the rooms that you need to be in where those investors are. Um, and, obviously from the investor's standpoint as well, they're looking at it and they have their entourage. They have their strategies and systems of people they're going to bring in to help scale it to the next level. So do you still have optics about the business that you exited, about like how it's doing and like how much they've grown? Like you still see the brand name around?
I do because I took equity in the business. So like I still
Okay.
get paid from that in a degree. But part of the exit was that of course they had to change the name of the business, all that good stuff. Um, And yeah, I mean, they do really well as as an online fitness business. Um, but when I yeah, and to my point of like saying pull the ripcord, it's just that yeah, being very intentional to where when you get to the point of wanting to have that discussion together, as in like, hey, like I think it's time to start preparing for that exit, knowing that it's going to be a at least like a 8 month process. It's not something that you can go, hey, I decide to sell, and tomorrow you're gone, um, because there is about a year timeline there.
Gotcha. Well, cool, man. That answered all my questions on the exit topic. Sorry, I beat that horse. It's just something I'm super curious about.
No, I get it, and like where you guys are in the business model that you guys are in, and kind of the industry and stuff. It will be like it's super lucrative now, but it's still in the very infant stages of it because there's not enough like information around it yet.
Hmm.
But even having the conversation that we had on when we spoke last time on my podcast, that is the direction that everything is going, right? So the business valuation will only increase over time when there's more relevant information around what it is. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
and again, I think we mentioned this last time too, but it's like everybody is going to AI. Like everybody, they're investing in land in AI. I think Kevin mentioned that last time.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
um,
Um, and I think that AI specifically is just moving so quickly that, if you're in the AI space and you're like we're really delivering great results for our clients. We're one of, I mean, there's a lot of people getting into AI and doing AI, but like the uh the specificity of like what we do and the results we get for our clients with where AI is currently, like being on the cutting edge of like the results that we're getting is like I don't know how long I want to chase that with how fast AI moves. You know what I mean? Um,
yeah,
so that's just like a very important consideration, right? Like if this were if this were a coaching business, like, AI is going to impact everything. But I'm in the AI space. So like running my business, scaling my business, and staying current with what's new with AI every single day are all equally as important, which are not that's like totally different than every other business out there. Like my main focus has to be what's current with AI, or I wake up tomorrow morning and I'm obsolete. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So, um, so the talk to us about a little bit about, I think we're coming up on time here, so I want to be mindful and make sure that everybody gets the full scope of like where you started, where you're at now, and where things are going in the future. I know you mentioned you have built this business uh with intentionally to exit by 2027. So you know what what does 2025 look like, and what does that look like going forward for the next 2.5 years?
Yeah, so I'm gonna just continue to run a very lean team and uh, handle some one-on-one clients here and there, run a group coaching model. But at the end of the day, what's really important to me is that um, I'm I'm leveraging my time well because we were talking before, and I have an 11-year-old that's growing really quickly, and I want to be very involved in her life.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that I kind of missed with my other kids because I was so hyper focused on only growing a business, working 16 hours a day, 7 days a week, because that was my goal. And so now I wish I could rewind the clock some, but I want to make sure that I'm very intentional with the way I use my time. So that's why I made the decision. It's like I'm only going to serve a certain handful of one-on-one clients. Everyone else would be more of a group coaching client, um, and just run things that way for the next, probably year and a half to where I decide to start planning for that exit.
Mm, love it. Um, well, we will. I feel like I want to talk about more stuff, but I don't know where to go from here. Um, just in all
That's a
transparency, right?
natural stopping point.
Yeah. Um, so we'll put the link to your podcast in the at the bottom for everybody to go check you out. Who talk to your ideal client who may be watching or listening. Let them know, like if they're watching or listening, where they can find you and why they should entertain a conversation with you or your team if they're struggling with XYZ.
Sure. So yeah, anybody that's, an online coach or an aspiring online coach that's wanting to build brand or scale an online business of any kind, more than happy to have a conversation with you. Best place to find me, just go to Facebook, Dustin Lash, shoot me a message. I manage my socials there. Be more than happy just to have a conversation, see where you are, see what the vision is and what you're wanting to do, and just have a normal conversation. Other than that, like, be more than happy to go to my website, dustinlash.com, and just grab some free stuff that's there. Tons of, free information on how you can get started and things like that. But I appreciate the time, guys, and I really do just kind of appreciate the deep conversation as always.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Likewise, and the same with our interview with you. Um, yeah, and on Facebook, just look out for the guy. I think he's got like a blue Corvette in the back, but um, he's that's how we got in contact with him was through Facebook actually. So we're in a like a podcast group with some pretty high level people, and he just actually reached out and we connected. So super humble guy. He's not faking it on this podcast. I'm sure you'll, if you are in the market for his services, you'll have a good experience with him for sure. As have we. All right. Well, I think we're gonna wrap it there, guys. Dustin, just hang back with us for the recording to render. But for everybody else, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.
See you guys.